Hi Sam, thank you for uploading that for this week. I think this is looking good. Just wanted to go through and do some feedback on this. I think this first sequence is working really well. Let me just see if I can get this to... Okay, it's going through here, so we're going through the window, that's much quicker. This section here, I still find a little bit of difficulty understanding the framework of the shot. I think that that's more to do with your description of this particular bit of perspective, and I think that that's going to help a lot if you were to as I said before, if you were to have some kind of platform upon which you can build the shadows coming across. So if you wanted these here, you could perhaps revert the shadows up so that they're going maybe in this direction like that, and have this shadow at a strong angle. So it's clear that it's a shadow, and it's clear that the light is coming from this direction from another room, and in the same way her shadow will come across, but you'll see this change in perspective. So her shadow is like that, but the top of her head kind of folds in a corner there, and her neck goes out that way, and her body goes out that way, so that you feel that there's a definite wall or some kind of object that bends across there, because at the moment I'm having difficulty understanding where she's coming from. And especially the shadow here, if the shadow was to come in a way which made sense to her character, so from here, if she was coming across, that would make sense to have this part of her shadow over across like that, but then the rest of it should really point to her as a person. Okay, so that's the main thing that I'm finding is a little bit disorienting, and I'm sure that's something that you plan to deal with as you approach the animation. But if you at least have that construction line across there, so as she moves across, it's fairly obvious to the viewer that this character's coming across here. But this is fine. I think this is good. And once you've got the walk cycle in there, I'd nail the way that she moves first and do the shadows afterwards, and you can do it in After Effects. I'd say once you've got this worked out, then you can flatten out one half across one plane, and then you can have the other half on a different plane in After Effects. You don't have to think too much, but it's important to have that feeling that people understand where she's coming from and the sort of room that she's moving out of into. Okay, so that's all good. It comes in and she slams the door. I think here as well, at least in your animation planning, I don't think she needs to go off frame. I think that to really get a feeling of her, I think you should stop her here and then have her look around at the door, so that we can really take in her, and have her stop on this third using your golden mean. And so you've got your three lines here. Have her sitting exactly in the middle here in the third. Have her turn around, and then she can arc through and slam that door, but we don't need a cut. Okay, so she never actually leaves the room. So she just goes from here, and then she arcs across, her head kind of spaces across from here, a quick cushion across, and then straight across into that slam motion. So you get a nice arc as well. Either. And also remember, if she's slamming the door, you have to think about the mechanics of this slam, because if she's going to be slamming that, and I almost feel that if she's slamming it, she's actually going to be slamming it that way. So you're going to have this arc coming across the page. This is the following arm, and you're going to get that spacing, that really large spacing across with that strong slam. But that also means that you have to think about, as she's coming in, that there's going to be something like a door here that she comes up behind. So you have your door handle there, you have to think about what's going on with that. So if that's your door semi-ajar across there, that's something she can easily grab and then slam shut afterwards, so that you need to think about the positioning of that so that she can go through and get that door handle from here to arc around to that door handle there. So that needs to slam that way. So then we go across and we see her walking across to the sword. That's fine. And you need to have her either, I think for time's sake, you probably want to, in this shot here, perhaps have some indication of her in the shot, so we don't have to have any animation, whether it's just her over here somewhere, either maybe her hands on the side of the bed and some indication that her body is there, so you don't have to think too much about what's going on here, and then it makes sense. She's pulled her mask down, and then I assume this is where we got our colourful sequence here. I got a bit confused, I have to admit, because she's got this almost a feeling like she's lonely inside here, inside her helmet. It almost feels like she needs to have some sort of, I'm getting away from this trauma inside my helmet. And then but yeah, obviously here it is confusing, visually confusing. The sound needs to pick this up, because we need to be able to ascertain that the brother's interrupting her peaceful world. And I kind of thought that you'd have a moment here where she goes off into her little la-la land for a while, and then the boy interrupts it, and then she comes back. So in a way, it would be nice and not that difficult, I think, if she, in this moment here, started to drift away into her fantasy world a little bit, and then you have this moment where she snaps out of it, she shuts her eyes, so she might, I don't know, even if it's a single picture, you can get your single picture out here, she can have her kind of drifting off into a colour, almost have the colour filling up her helmet, and then some loud noise, and she shuts her eyes in frustration, and off she goes to deal with the little brat. She walks across here, boom, 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 it's fine. And I really don't, whether or not she should still be wearing the helmet, I think might be an interesting thing to do here, because she's got the helmet on, and I think that it may be interesting to actually see her with her little helmet. I'm not sure if she has a helmet actually, but it'd be interesting to see her with a helmet. The brother's going, oh, you know, with a helmet, that's so cool. But and I'm not 100% sold on the walk. I don't see how that really achieves anything. I think you could concatenate this greatly by just simply having her come out to a reaction shot at this moment here, where you have maybe a close idea where she's kind of looking off the side, saying, what are you doing? I'm in my play, something like that, and then just cut straight away to the boy looking through here, and then the slam. And I think that's more than enough, because every time you have a major body animation, you're going to be asking yourself, why did I do that, and what's the purpose of that, and can I do it without it? And this is fine, and I think this is one of your good pieces. This is your money shot where he's crawling across here, and that's going to be a difficult thing to do. This needs to be sped up a bit, and I wonder what would be the best way to approach this, because it seems to be just coming off from the distance, and I think it'd be nice to think, where is it coming from, because we did have this shelf. He's going across a cliff, but what's that cliff? Is that cliff climbing up into some kind of mountain or whatever? There's something that she's looking up to, and that way you could actually have this, I don't know, wherever the harpy is actually coming from, and you may even see them kind of flying around in the distance up here. and then have this one kind of come out and come into frame that way, so it's becoming larger and more imposing, but we see where it's coming from. We have the feeling of the depth as to where it's coming from. So you've got this thing that she's going to in the distance, and again that occupies your third. You've got your third, she's occupying that third, this is on that third, this thing comes from that third, her head and reactions down here, so you get that nice diagonal between the two. And if it kind of falls out into there the way that you got it, it will give a feeling of depth, a really strong feeling of depth. So that previous one, where was it? Here, where we show the her climbing up the edge. I lost my drawing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There it was. There it is. Okay, so just having some feeling of depth, so that there's some distant object, that would be helpful. And then you can introduce that and do something with the flapping of the wings or whatever. Just try to, first of all, map out where this body is moving, and have a look at some references of things like crows flapping across. Have some look at crows, because crows tend to do that before, or eagles. Have a look at some birds of prey swooping down onto their prey. Here, this is good. I think that you want to try and maintain the feeling that you got here, this foreshortening, and her kind of pushing forwards, that sort of thing. In this next shot, I feel that you could do that. You could kind of push this a bit a little bit further forward, so you'd have this arm and this sword kind of coming more into frame, more towards the foe instead of being diagonally outwards. So that way you could have more of your forearm there, and then overlap your shoulder there, so that the main thing is that it's coming towards camera instead of away, and kind of turn her head direction a little bit more towards the camera, so that she's looking, her eye direction is a little bit more towards the harpy, and that way and you can do that because you've got this structure here. It's not going to change anything. You just need to do something about the arm. Have the arm coming so that it's more into frame, the sword in any case, have the foreshortening of the sword, and just turn the head round to the side, so that you can still do this turn. The turn will work well, and not much else has to change with that. Here it's just continuity. If she's turning to look at the side, I feel that the gaze is still not quite across a bit. You could have the nose maybe over to here, the mouth to here, and have more of the feeling that she's really looking, or maybe even just turn the helmet around a bit more, so that you feel that there's more of that screen left gaze of what's going on, because that's going to help to lead in to this one here. And that's a really nice shot. I like that. I've never been 100% sold on this rotation shot. Looking to the left, looking to the right. And I half suspected what you've got here is a lot better. And I think that instead of having the feet in the shot, maybe just go for this and have this looking to the left and looking to the right, and have something else which could be a part of that world, like another ravine or something, and she looks to the left, looks to the first time she looks and she sees that that's like the top of a mountainous crag poking upwards, and she looks to one direction, looks the other way, and then she turns back and she sees that it's actually the boy, and she snaps. And another thing I really want you to focus on a bit later in the piece, actually I don't know what's happened with the video encoding. This dark look I think is really fantastic, and I think that you, as part of your visual style, you really want to hold on to this and especially I think afterwards, this feel and this graphic look, I think is something when she's in her desperate world, we really want to hold on to that. And when she's in her fantasy world, we want to go somewhere else. But just getting back to that, so in this sort of thing here, if you can pull that same sort of feel out in this picture as you had in the other one, that'd be great. This is just speed, it needs to go a lot faster. Stoink, really, really fast. It'd be good to get a lot of that stuff pencil tested out and just really, really rough, just so you can get your timing and spacing right. Just get that done super fast. You just go onto that, and I worked out how to do that stuff with Photoshop, by the way, in CS6, so I can show you how to use video layers. It'll be a lot faster than the way you're using it at the moment. It does work in CS6, I just found my way around the bug. So here again, get your graphics, really strong blacks and whites. This is great. Don't know why you haven't used your animation you submitted for the test, but I'm sure you will. And that's all great. And a good time. This is good. I like that. It all works. Still not 100% sold on that one there. I think maybe what's missing is the staging, because he's up here, and he might actually, if you go back to your thirds, you may want to have him down and smaller on this side. So he, or maybe even lower down. Maybe his head could be down here and his body could be down there. And the main thing I was interested in getting with this is more about him really pushing that bear into space, so you get that foreshortening happening. I don't really know how that can be done, and I'm not even sure if this is the best composition for this. I'm half thinking as well that you may even want to try something like this, where you just simply have the boy down here looking all forlorn, occupying maybe that sort of composition with the window, everything else in the same sort of composition, but then have the bear come up like that. That might work. Actually, I think that's the edge of your page there. I'm drawing off the edge of the page. So let me just draw this again. Have maybe the boy here, and then you can push the bear up into frame over here, and have him maybe occupying that space there instead, so that he's really pushing it up into her view, and it keeps the power center down as well. So you maybe want to try pushing that shot a little bit more into the mid frame. That might work a bit better. And I would expect a reaction shot from her at that moment. I don't know if it's just missing. And I assume that you've got other stuff inside there. So that's my major feedback from that. I think, like I said, a few moments are missing. Like I said, in the things that are done that are not necessary, things that should be necessary are not there. Things like that little drift away inside a helmet, I think, is a good thing to consider. It's not difficult. Most of what I'm suggesting should actually reduce your workload, not increase it. Alright, so hopefully that's helpful, and I'll talk to you in class. Bye-bye.